The economy was also the subject of some political stagecraft today. A man who could conceivably have a lot more power to wield after the November election had some advice for the president, prompting a vigorous defense from the administration. Correspondent Steve Brown has both sides of the story.
We tried 19 months of government as community organizer, and it hasn't worked.
And Republican John Boehner has some ideas on how to get more Americans back to work. The House Minority Leader and perhaps future Speaker said what's ailing the U.S. economy is fear.
Prospect of higher taxes, stricter rules, more regulations has employers sitting on their hands.
Boehner says federal spending should go back to pre-stimulus levels, and the Bush tax cuts set to expire in January should be extended. Not just some of them, all of them.
Raising taxes on families and small businesses during a recession is a recipe for disaster, for both our economy and for our deficit. Period. End of story.
And Boehner called on the president to fire his economic team, starting with Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner and the head of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, Larry Summers.
The president should fire his economic team. Very constructive advice, and we thank the leader for that.
Done with the sarcasm, Vice President Biden launched into what is becoming the new favorite election year theme for Democrats nationally, squarely pinning the blame for the recession on the Bush administration and the Republicans who ran Congress.
Mr. Boehner is nostalgic for those good old days, but the American people are not. Okay, let me begin.
But how much patience and faith do Americans have for the current administration? For example, today, the Vice President and Energy Secretary Stephen Chu showed off stimulus-financed scientific developments that, while promising, may be years from large-scale job creation. The same may be said for the promise of the stimulus overall. 18 months in, over a third of the package, $285 billion, is still unspent, and unemployment is at 9.5%, higher than when the stimulus was signed into law.
And of course the president isn't satisfied with the pace at which it's moving, but he does think that we need to keep moving with the policies that help to get us out of the crisis and not go back to the ones that got us into it.
Now, the Congressional Budget Office is out with a report today which says in April, May, and June of this year, between 1.4 and 3.3 million Americans were working because of stimulus funds. The White House has pounced on that as proof that the stimulus is working. Brett?
Steve Brown live in Cleveland tonight. Steve, thank you.